You have been welded inside of a makeshift submarine against your will and are now descending into an ocean of blood. It's dark, wet, and claustrophobic. You can't see outside of your vessel besides a camera on the outside of your iron tomb, but you can sense it. You can hear it. Something is stalking you. Your only instructions are to push forward and discover what awaits you. That's Iron Lung, baby. The game. And also the movie. Now, in 2022, the hit indie horror game Iron Lung was released by David Zemansky. People ate it up. They made theory videos about it, fan art, the whole 9 yards. I am not going to dive deep into the lore or make a breakdown video because I am dumb. One of the people who loved this game was famous YouTube Let's Player and Emmy-nominated creator Markiplier.
Who's coming? If you're coming right now, let me see it.
Markiplier loved the game so much that he reached out to David and asked him, hey, can I make a movie about this? To which he agreed. Markiplier and a small dedicated team then started production on a movie adaptation for this game in early 2023. Now, this was no easy task for Mr. Plier. He had worked on big projects before, like the one that got him an Emmy nomination, In Space with Markiplier, which is an interactive story that you, the viewer, navigate through by choosing actions for your character. But those series are all silly. They're jokes. How is this YouTuber going to pull off a real movie? And on top of that, one where the source material is so dark. Now, when someone says they're making a movie, they can mean multiple different things. YouTubers have made movies in the past. Smosh, Fred, and KSI have all made movies, but what they meant was they were just starring in a movie about them. They didn't write it or have any significant part in it. The Rocka Rocka Twins made movies, like Talk to Me and Bring Her Back being huge commercial successes with the duo writing and directing them. But those guys had been making movies on YouTube. Surely Markiplier isn't on that level. He's just gonna be starring in it like that Edge of Sleep series on Amazon Prime. So when Markiplier announced he was writing, directing, producing, editing, financing, and starring in a movie about a video game, people were extremely hesitant, especially when he said he was trying to make it a theatrical release by self-distributing the movie. I mean, maybe this thing will get made in a year and get a deal and then end up on a streaming service, but in theaters? There is no way that is happening. The only movie I can find that even comes close to doing something like that is Passion of the Christ from 2004, which was funded by Mel Gibson, and even then it was mostly distributed by New Market Films. Self-funded and self-distributed are massively different things. You don't just get to call up movie theaters and be like, hey, can you please play my movie? I promise that it's good and it's gonna make you a lot of money. Then on October 14th, 2023, Markiplier released the first trailer for Iron Lung, and it received a mixed bag of reviews.
He's a director now? He's directing a movie?
That's not a great teaser.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't care about it. I'm going to forget about this tomorrow.
It was starting to become apparent that not a lot of people knew about Iron Lung's lore, or even more so, had never heard of the game. Now you have movie critics and horror fans around the world being tipped off that, again, a YouTuber is making a movie about a video game, and it's their first film. Of course, the Markiplier fans were overjoyed by this trailer and this news. In their eyes, Markiplier can do no wrong. He puts everything into what he does. How could he possibly mess this up? I mean, I know he just primarily makes Let's Plays on YouTube, but I mean, he's a gamer. And gamers know games. This is where I think the parasocial aspect of Markiplier's fans started to play a role in this movie, and not a small role either. An A24-sized partnership. A parasocial relationship is a psychological bond where a person invests emotional energy, interest, and time into a celebrity, fictional character, or influencer who is completely unaware of the fan's existence. Right now, we're seeing it in news stories with people who form very real relationships with AI chatbots, going out of their way to have full-blown weddings and devoting their lives to an artificial intelligence. We've heard stories of people stalking celebrities and committing heinous crimes because of their delusion. But there's one aspect of parasocial relationships that get left out of the conversation, and that's ones formed with YouTubers.
You saved my life. No, I didn't save your life. I've been playing Pokemon.
I was planning on drinking on my own, but at least I am technically not alone anymore.
Yeah, well, I'm not your friend, and none of us are, but I mean, you can drink still.
Now, I've personally experienced this. Back in 2023, I fell in love with a YouTube channel called Game Grumps. The show is hosted by two people, Aaron and Dan, and all they do is hang out and play video games. But whenever you're an impressionable kid, you just want to fit in. Soon I felt like I was a part of their inside jokes, and ultimately, these guys were my friends. Because I spent hours and hours hanging out with these guys. One of the two, Dan, had a musical comedy side project called Ninja Sex Party. I myself, as a musician, was elated to find this band because I connected to it on a deeper emotional level. When someone you're friends with does something artistic and then succeeds in it, you feel proud of them. In 2018, I got the chance to see them live. It was cathartic to see this band because they had become one of my favorites, and on top of that, my friend was in the band. But while I was watching them, something clicked for me. Holy shit. I don't know this guy. And he definitely doesn't know me. I tell you that story to convey to you that there are massive amounts of Markiplier fans who have experienced this type of connection. Not because they're crazy, not because they're stupid, but because they have invested so much time into this friend. Markiplier started making videos in 2012 and has gained over 38 million subscribers. So when I tell you there are a lot of Markiplier fans, there are a lot of Markiplier fans. So now that we have this context, Markiplier would begin to tease and talk about the process of making this movie. And this was over the course of 2 years. He would take breaks from making videos to focus on Iron Lung. He would make videos crying and talking about how proud he was of this project. His fans joined him in this process and became invested in it, almost as if a weight would be off of their shoulders when it finally dropped. So whenever the time came for fans to support Markiplier and this project, they did their part. Markiplier officially announced at the end of 2025 that the movie was finished. But when Markiplier fans started to notice that the movie wasn't showing in their local theaters, this happened.
How do you request one at a theater that doesn't have it? You can just send an email, I think, but really, truly only give contact for suggestion to the theaters that are in your local area.
And they did.
We started with around 60 theaters, I think, actually. And that rose fairly quickly, but 60 was the start. And now we're up to 1,578, which is, I mean, I don't even know. I'm in Guam. I'm in Guam. I just didn't think it was possible. You guys proved me wrong.
Iron Lung was shown in 3,015 theaters during its opening weekend. It reached #1 in North America, New Zealand, and Australia, earning approximately $17.8 million to $18 million domestically, with a total global debut of $21.7 million, and was shown on over 4,000 total screens. AMC, Regal, and Cinemark all picked up this movie because of the overwhelming desire from his fan base. He put the mark in Cinemark, right? Yeah. So in the end, Markiplier and his team had their big moment, and everyone lived happily ever after. So, how was the movie? Was the career-defining movie that Markiplier spent years writing, directing, editing, producing, financing, and starring in even a good movie? Yeah, I thought it was great. I liked it. Super cool. But this is not a movie review. I witnessed something absolutely insane during this movie's opening weekend that blew my mind. Markiplier's Iron Lung, in my opinion, is a great adaptation of this game. It's a near one-to-one recreation with tension that I felt in my core, practical effects that really stood out and looked phenomenal, special effects that were used tastefully, cinematography that was breathtaking in moments, and a soundtrack that adds to the visuals in a great way and honors the source material. And guys, Markiplier's got some acting chops. The first 20 minutes, he's a little iffy, but by the midway point, he really settles in to the character Simon and delivers some really great moments. From what I've gathered, here are the main complaints about the movie. At times, it feels dragged out. Like, there are moments we spend with our character Simon in this submersible that just feel like they linger for a little too long. A lot of people, myself included, have complaints that it was hard to hear the people on the intercom, even in moments where Simon is directly talking to them. Then there are a lot of people who just didn't understand the exposition or lore provided in this movie. I think those are valid complaints. It's art, and everyone is entitled to their opinions, blah, blah, blah. Thinking back on this film, I understand that it's a cosmic eldritch horror movie. And these films tend to be confusing slow burns that make you ponder the material. So for me, that was par for the course and welcomed. Iron Lung deals with the world inside and outside of the lung, the world you can't see, letting your mind fill in the gaps. Now, the reason I am so fascinated by this movie is because of the reactions to it. It feels like there are two sides of this coin. We have one side being the parasocial Markiplier fans. There were a lot of young kids who saw this movie that had really never seen any horror films before. Some had even admitted this was their first horror film ever, which is incredible because Markiplier has just introduced an entire genre of film to people who really only interact with it when the new Five Nights at Freddy's movies come out. He also has fans who love this genre of film, are well versed in it, and we're so excited to see him pull off a movie like this. But now there has been this storm online of people who are die-hard Iron Lung defenders. People who are so happy Mark accomplished this feat that they will not accept that this movie does have flaws. Whether that's the audio issues, the pacing, Mark's acting, or the narrative decisions that he made. There has almost been this Rick and Morty fanbase style defense where people are like, well, it's supposed to be that way, and if you don't get it, you just don't understand cosmic horror or Iron Lung. I've seen them say things on X like, oh, when Markiplier did this thing, I was like, that's so Mark. Completely disregarding that he is actively trying to portray a character. Now, on the other side of the coin seems to be the entirety of Hollywood. I have never in my life witnessed a movie that I enjoyed get completely review bombed like this, in a way that makes me want to put on a tinfoil hat. It really feels like these credible outlets are only making these horrible reviews about his movie because they have seen his fan base get him to this point. And they know if they make these articles, his fans will react to it and drive up their engagement. Like in this interview Mark did with IGN, they are buttering him up the whole time and giving him the most thoughtful interview. But then they put out the worst review of this movie. Iron Lung has terrible pacing and very low energy from the start. The scenarios that Markiplier has put his character in just aren't compelling enough to watch unfold. With scenes that drag on and on, it was about 15 minutes into the movie that I started to think about how restless I was already, and then realized I had so much more time to go. This article from The Guardian is borderline schoolyard bullying. The begrimed and squalid craft, single-handedly piloted by Fishbach's straggle-haired convict Simon, is indistinguishable from the average teenage bedroom. In this, Simon proves more proficient than Fishbach's off-screen self, who is either stumped by or oblivious to the film's fundamental issues. Even if you have a major case of main character syndrome to center yourself for 2+ hours while relegating your co-stars to voices off, Fishbach holds steady before the camera. More money and bigger sets will doubtless come his way, but he can't pull off the dramatic heavy lifting required to convert a short film's worth of plot into a watchable feature. At least Mr. Beast's stunts get him outside. That's crazy, dude. Like, what is that? One thing that everyone started to point out was the Rotten Tomatoes scores, with his audience score usually being over 90%, while the critic scores were below 50%. But at the time, there were only 10 critic reviews, 2 of which being IGN and The Guardian. You also instinctively want to disregard these reviews when you realize one of them is just another YouTuber who does movie reviews. And their pinned remark is making an IGN joke saying, "This movie really makes you feel like you're trapped inside an iron lung." Even Mr. Beast went out of his way to defend Mark's Rotten Tomatoes score by saying, "The sample size is too small, and why I think the popcorn score is a better metric if you're trying to see if something is worth watching, in my opinion." The biggest controversy struck when Markiplier's movie mysteriously disappeared from the box office charts.
So this is funny. This is on Friday, the box office numbers. I'm number 1, right? But then, I didn't see this yesterday, but here's Saturday's. I swear I was on this list, but Iron Lung isn't here anymore. And I thought, hey, maybe that's a fluke, but here's Sunday. I'm gone. Why'd you take me off the chart? I feel like I deserve to be on the chart.
Immediately, fans and influencers alike started a call for justice and claimed that Hollywood and its elites didn't like that Markiplier's movie beat out their own without the official blessing from the higher-ups. That the bigwigs just couldn't handle the secret getting out that anyone can make a movie without going through them. Critics and media claimed that this was just a glitch, and the idea of Hollywood trying to keep down an independent creator was highly unlikely. Eventually, the movie did return to the charts, but oddly enough, it was only after its number 1 spot was surpassed by Sam Raimi's Send Help. But most would argue Iron Lung is the biggest success story here, with its budget only being $3 million, earning over 7 times its budget, while Send Help's was $40 million and didn't even break even with theirs. Then all of the same media outlets that dogged on this movie are all of a sudden making articles about Markiplier's success story and congratulating him on this achievement, including IGN, just because they know his fan base will engage with that content and it will benefit them. So what's the verdict here? You have trusted critics saying that this movie is boring, while untrusted Markiplier fans are saying that this movie is amazing. A movie being too long feels like subjective criticism, and you can't say that it has lazy writing just because there are mysteries left unsolved. Does Pulp Fiction have lazy writing because we don't know what's in the briefcase? Did The Sopranos' iconic ending only happen the way it did because the writers gave up like they were the Duffer Brothers? Well, I have something to admit. I'm a Markiplier fan. I'm in a weird position because I've been a fan for years, but I feel like I trust my gut and love for horror that this movie is great. I think it comes down to the fact that all of this is subjective. The real story is the unprecedented accomplishment of Iron Lung, self-financed and self-distributed.
Can you get your distributors submitted to some film festivals? What are you not getting about this?
It's us! There is no one else! It's us!
His only goal was to finish this movie and maybe get it into 10 theaters. Hopefully Hollywood doesn't get the wrong message from this story and start plastering streamers' faces on movies trying to sell them to us. Thanks for watching, and thank you for your time.